I enjoyed your administration when you were an MP in Eldoret North. Yeah, we used to learn hapo kama good hapo chini karibu na kwenu. Yes. And secondly, I've also experienced your leadership now that you are the president. Mr. President, I can assure you they are totally different. From when you were MP, people used to go to the street to celebrate your achievements. Nowadays, we just go to the streets to demonstrate.
African youths are waking up in the terms of political, in the terms of economics, in the terms of social experience. You know, African youths are waking up. And we have seen this from various countries, for example, Kenya, Uganda, or Ghana, Nigeria, where youths are erupting and fighting for their rights. We have seen this in South Africa. South African youths, they are so loud, they fight for their rights. There's a video I did where a South African young lady was in the parliament and was facing the president of South Africa, telling him, you know what, you have done corruption, you promised this, and you haven't done anything about it anymore. And that's what we need to do. That's the way forward for the youths of Africa, to fight for Africa, because to show the spirit of Pan-Africanism, to show the spirit of unity, to show the spirit of leadership. And that's why we have someone like Ibrahim Traore on the seat of Burkina Faso. He is a youth and he's doing great, because youth, nowadays youths, we have the most educated, we are technologically equipped, you know, we know things that we need to do for our lives to be better. Now, in this video, I'm going to talk about, to react about a video of a young Kenyan, a young African who was direct one-on-one with the president of Kenya, William Ruto, telling him, you know what, you are a good guy sometimes back, but nowadays, we were going to the street when you are the member of parliament, we were going to the street to celebrate your achievements, but nowadays, we are going to the street to protest, to say that you have not done anything about that, because you have become more corrupt, you have become more incompetent, you don't listen to your people. That's what the president of Kenya is doing. Watch this video and then we go react about it.
People here, yes. Who? Okay, somebody in front.
I want first to acknowledge your presence as the 5th President and the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. My beautiful name that my father gave me is Kisero Junior Kennedy Otieno. I'm the Secretary General of Kenya Methodist University. And I have a few things to put across, Your Excellency. First, when I entered this hall, I like checking where I am. I saw from whatever is written here, hashtag fear has fallen. Your Excellency, the fear has not fallen. That's why we are here. So, and first thing first, Mr. President, I've been privileged to be under your administration in 2 capacities. One, I enjoyed your administration when you were an MP in Eldoret North. Yeah, we used to learn hapo kama good hapo chini karibu na kwenu. Yes. And secondly, I've also experienced your leadership now that you are the president. Mr. President, I can assure you they are totally different. From when you were MP, people used to go to the street to celebrate your achievements. Nowadays, we just go to the streets to demonstrate. And Mr. President, don't get me wrong in the first place. The reason is why I know when you are the president, it comes with a lot of responsibility and people to advise. And I will start off by saying those who advised in this new funding model, I will not be wrong to say there is a problem. And that's why we are here. We have to go back to the drawing board. We have to start off afresh. And my question is, Mr. President, the first question is, what was so wrong with the old funding model that we could not sit down and amend it? because even a constitution of a country, you just don't wake up one day and bring a new constitution. We always go and say, hii clause imetufinya kidogo kama wananchi. We go to the parliament, they amend it, and they take it to the president to ascend and sign it. So I feel we should go back to the old funding model and amend it. Because, Mr. President, we don't lack stakeholders, we don't lack resources. These people sitting here, watu wanafanya law, nursing, medicine, there are brains here which can sit down in those panel and say, where did we go wrong? First, I want to acknowledge that the new funding model has got good ideas, very brilliant ideas, but the implementation is very wrong, and it's not pleasing based on the fact that there are also challenges from the help. You know, when comrades sit in the same room with the help guys, it's a miracle. But we are very happy to sit down with them and discuss in your presence. Mr. President, I want to also talk about, I come from KEM, which is a private university. And my question there is in, you have spoken, I've understood what you have said in regards to scholarship and the loans. Comrades, you know, kama SG we ndio mtu wa mkono. I have my president here, Masai Chebet. You know, comrades come to you and tell you, Kisero, we have been placed in this band. And people are really suffering, Mr. President. And my question is, why then do COOPs have to place them in private university if they can't be sustained the same way as those in public university? And in that regard, Mr. President, I acknowledge that you have said the government, this is my chance with the Mr. President. You have acknowledged that the government said it has debts, and my university is one that is in the same category. Tunadai the government. They have been so lenient enough to allow students to learn with the limited resources they have. Tunaomba tu hata kidogo ndio university iendelee kufanya kazi. Because we need to learn, those who we are there in KEM. Then, Mr. President, recently you were awarded a beautiful degree at Baraton University, if I'm not wrong. Honorary. Degree at Baraton University. And there was one picture that really took my attention. I know most of you saw the picture. There was a little girl called Naomi who was in the midst of graduates, and he was there admiring all the graduates, the beautiful gown. Then I asked myself, why does this new funding model want to kill the dream of that young girl of one day graduating? I want to say this, Mr. President. As the commander, I first started by saying I acknowledge your president as your presence as the 5th president and the commander-in-chief of our defense forces. And one of your roles in that regard is to act. Please act, Mr. President. We beg you. Please act. Then lastly, namalizia kabisa. Lastly, Mr. President, we don't have to go to the street when we can resolve this thing here today. Ama namna gani wangwana? Yes. Because we also don't like going to the streets when we can solve things at the table. We are ready to be part of the discussion. We are ready to listen. We are ready to work and ensure that we change this. But the bottom line remains, let's go to the old funding model. Amend it to what you wanted to achieve with the new funding model. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Welcome back. When you hear a young, bold African lad talking like this, what comes in your mind? What comes in my mind is that we have a better tomorrow, that we have a better Africa to come. Because we are not like our ancestors who are just sitting down and be taken to circles and without them doing anything. We have ancestors who fought for Africa, and we have this our previous ancestors, or we call them what? They just sat down looking how The whites are taking our lands, looking how the leaders are exploiting us, looking how the leaders are more corrupt, But nowadays, we are waking up. Every generation, the youths, the young, the old generation, everyone is waking up. And we are waking up because enough is enough. Enough of being in a country where a leader cannot hear you. Enough of being in your country where you cannot farm in your land. Enough being in a country where your children are not getting good education because education system is broken. Enough to be in a country where health system is broken and yet you are paying taxes. Enough is enough. After oppressing someone for so long, someone will reach the wall. And when he reaches the wall, he will bounce back. Now it is time to bounce back as Africans. It is time to bounce back as black people, because by only bouncing back is when we will solve all these issues that's going around. By only bouncing back is when we will solve economic issues. By only bouncing back, it's when we will solve political issue, geopolitical issue dealing with social and cultural issue, dealing with environmental, by only bouncing back. When we don't bounce back, that's where we'll see crisis. In Ghana, there's no water in Ghana because we have allowed illegal mining in Ghana. We have allowed these people to come and exploit us without us benefiting from it. When we only bounce back, that's the time we will solve the issue in Congo DRC. When we only bounce back, that's where we will solve the issue in Sudan. We will solve the issue in South Africa. For example, a country like South Africa is a country that it is economically grown. A lot of people are going to South Africa to make a living. Nigerians, Ghanaians, Sudanese, Somalis, Botswanas, everyone, Mozambiques are in South Africa to make a living. But the South African people too are crying. They are crying because a lot of the richest people in South Africa, they are whites. They are crying because they cannot access to their lands. They are not land owners. They are crying because they cannot access to funds. It's because the white supremacy has taken over South Africa. And now they are trying to change from a United Nations to BRICS. Just the same colonizer, the same puppets, trying to move the country, swaying the country left, right, instead of uniting Africa, using AU and making Africa to be great. We are trying to change ownership from United Nations to BRICS. That's what we are trying to do. But all I'm saying is, it is time to be bold, speak out, bold, go to the roads if necessary, bold, tell them on their faces, bold, and choose leaders who are leaders. Don't choose politicians, choose leaders. When we choose politicians, we will all cry every time. We will cry just one day after election. We will cry 1 month after election. You will only laugh the day of election because you are being given something small for you to drink some Coca-Cola so that you can vote for them. This young man from Kenya, he told Ruto that, you know what, why don't you do this and this? Because sometimes we see a good president, but the advisors, they are bad. And this youth, this young man advises the president of Kenya at his best, telling him about the monetary funds, the laws that are being passed. It's bad for us because we are suffering for that. We as youths, we are going to school, we learn, we graduate, we get degrees, but at the end of the day, the parliament is just sitting down and amend laws and put laws that will suffocate this guy who was paid for this education, who thinks that life will be better. But now, he's crying again. So, it is time each and every country, everyone has to wake up. Each and every country, everyone has to wake up and fight for the country. For example, Ghana, Nigeria, South Africa, Sudan, Congo, Burkina Faso, Uganda, Tanzania, the fear that we have, we need to do away with it. We need to stand up and say no to corruption, say no to incompetence of leaders, to say no to the leaders who think that the country is theirs, to say no to the puppets leaders. By doing that is when we will take this country forward. By doing that is when we will take Africa forward. Now, we see puppets everywhere. A leader is being chosen instead of ruling his people. A leader is ruling the people. I don't know. He's being ruled. I even don't know what they do, because they cannot make choices for the country. They cannot decide for the country. They cannot build infrastructure for the country, because as a puppet, you need to be under someone. And as a puppet, your country needs to be going through a lot so that you can be receiving donations, loans, so that we can see you are working. But the loans that you are being received is going to your pockets. I can remember the story of Pala Pala. The president of South Africa received money, donation for vaccines that time during Corona, and he pocketed the money. Pala Pala saga. That's what most our leaders are doing in Africa. Africa is a continent where right now, when you go in Sierra Leone, Liberia, Nigeria, Niger, you could see beautiful roads, infrastructure, hospitals, schools, just name it, a country or continent that could be more rich. But we are the poorest continent in the face of the earth. But we are being led by the most richest people in the world. We are being led by MPs who are receiving more salaries than the president of the United States. We are being led by a president who owns 10 jets in Nigeria. We are being led by a president who half of the country, he's owning land in half of the country. But the people of that country, they are very, very poor. And that's why we need to wake up as youths. The message of this video is, let's wake up as the youths of Africa. Not only Kenya, not only Nigeria, not only Uganda, but all of Africa. Let us have this Pan-African spirit. Let us unite through social media. Let us talk and speak one language. And the language is, let's do away with the puppets leaders. One language is, let's unite. Let's have unity. Let's come together and let's build Africa together. Africa is for Africans. Until next episode, and peace be with you.